My name is David Smith. I'm from Pauls Valley, Oklahoma, and I've been with Aflac for a little over 5 years. My wife and I were at home in bed, and we got a call on our home telephone. The voice on the other end of the phone told us that our son had ran off of a roadway at about 70 miles an hour, hit some trees, had gone off into a creek, and was trapped inside this car underwater. And as we're heading to this location, I have this friend back on the phone, and they're at that point telling me that they're dragging my son out of this creek. You know, his lifeless body, he's just not alive, they don't think, but they're loading him into the ambulance. So we continue driving, and we make a pretty short trip of it, as you can well imagine. One of the things that really hit my wife and I was that after all the years I'd been in police work, I knew with the chaplain meeting us that it wasn't good news for our son. He probably wasn't alive. And in fact, he was alive. We were met by the emergency room doctor, and he told us at that point that although he was alive, it was only because they were keeping him alive with the respirator that was breathing for him. He told us that my son had numerous broken bones all over his body and his ribs, his arms. He had head trauma. His lungs had filled with water from being underwater in the creek. He just really didn't even look like our son there, just swollen and just mangled, and is probably the best word to describe it. Over the next few days, we got to really see a miracle happen. My son didn't die in 30 minutes. He didn't die in an hour or 10 hours. We stayed in that emergency room or in the intensive care room at the hospital and never left for 3 days. And on that third day, my son did open his eyes. But what made it even worse is 2 days before my son had this accident, I lost my job. The company I worked for closed its doors and filed bankruptcy. I had no health insurance on my son. He ended up staying in that hospital for over almost 2 months. And we lived at this hospital the entire time. There was a motel across the street that we would go to. We would shower occasionally and get a nap, trading off, my wife and I. But for a 2-month time period, I had no money coming in. I did what probably most parents would do, and that's stayed there with your children. A lot of bills were incurred. Just a motel bill for that length of time is astronomical. My wife remembered that at the place she worked at, she had taken out an Aflac accident policy. When she contacted our Aflac agent that had sold her that policy, and he began to process the claim and the hospital bills that we were receiving, it seemed like just a few days that went by, and he brought my wife a check for over $23,000. Guys, you have to understand what that did for my wife and I. We were, as I said, at the bottom of we thought we were losing everything that we had. We thought we were going to get out of this hospital and lose our home, lose our cars. But this money that we received from Aflac was money we were able to use to pay those bills, to pay those car payments and house payments and the hotel bills and eating out every day that we were. That's what Aflac's for. It was a few months after that I got with the agent that had sold my wife, and I talked to him and said, you know, I know what you guys did for me. I want to be able to tell other people about it. I want to be able to go help them if they're going through something like this, where I can bring a check to them like you brought it to my wife. And the rest is history. I came to Aflac a few months after my son's car wrecked, and I never have looked back. It's been the best decision I've ever made, coming to work for Aflac. The Duck was with us, and it was incredible what he did for us. We wouldn't have been able to get by without that money that came from Aflac. And I'll forever be thankful for that. And I'll forever continue to go out and try to help other people do that same thing.